He thought the streets of Charleston were his home, until a stranger in his back seat whispered 4 words that shattered his life. "They're coming for you." By sunrise, he'd learned his best friend, his most trusted ally, and a man in a raincoat had been watching him for days. And Thursday was the day they planned to end it. Rain slicked the Charleston cobblestones, each lamp casting a golden halo in the mist. James Whitmore stepped from the shadows, umbrella low, heading for his white Range Rover parked beneath a sprawling live oak. The quiet street was his kind of place. No rushing cars, no curious eyes. He unlocked the door. The soft click of the locks echoed too loudly in the still night. Sliding into the driver's seat, he drew in the familiar scent of leather. And froze. A small, cold hand clamped over his mouth. "Don't speak," a girl's voice whispered, trembling yet certain. "They're listening." Her hazel eyes locked on his in the dim glow from the dash. Tangled hair, dirt smudges on her cheeks, and a look far older than her years. She knew his name, knew where he parked, knew his schedule. And then, the warning. People you trust are planning to remove you. By Thursday. She sat back, hands clasped in her lap. "Lily Harper," she said quietly. "And if you don't believe me, you won't live to change your mind." James stared at her, heart pounding. Then movement in the mirror caught his eye. Under the yellow glow of the street lamp, a tall man in a long raincoat stood perfectly still. Watching. Sometimes, a stranger knows you better than your friends. James kept one hand on the wheel, the other resting near the ignition. The girl didn't look away. "You don't remember me," Lily said softly, "but I remember you." She told him about a night months ago. Rain hammering the sidewalks. She'd been huddled beneath an awning, cold and starving. James had passed by, late for a meeting. He'd handed her a sandwich and a folded bill. No questions, no name, no lecture, just kindness. Then he was gone. "That's why I came," she said. "Because you didn't want anything from me. And now, you're in danger." Her words sharpened. Bobby Langston, his best friend for 15 years. Evelyn Shaw, his personal assistant who knew his every habit. "They've been talking about you for days," Lily said. "They know where you go, what you drive, what time you leave work. They said Thursday is when you'll be gone." James's pulse hammered. Lily's voice didn't waver. Every detail was too precise, too intimate to be guesswork. Then, from the corner of his eye, movement. In the rearview mirror, the man in the raincoat took one slow step toward the car. A shadow is dangerous, but one that wants to be seen is worse. James started the engine. The Range Rover eased away from the curb. In the mirror, the man in the raincoat didn't rush. He simply turned, following with his eyes. Every turn James took, there he was, reflected in shop windows, framed in the glass of darkened doorways. Never hurrying, never hiding. James pulled into a near-empty marina cafe, one of the few places in Charleston where the locals outnumbered the tourists. The scent of coffee cut through the damp air. The bell over the door chimed. Caroline Fields stepped in, deputy sheriff and once something more. Her eyes found James instantly. Introductions were brief. Lily spoke the names, Bobby Langston, Evelyn Shaw. Caroline listened in silence, then leaned in. "Play along. Get proof. If they suspect you, you're done." Caroline's voice dropped lower. "Bobby's been having secret meetings at the Palmer Club, with Evelyn. That's where deals are made when no one wants a paper trail." James felt the weight of it. Through the fogged cafe window, the man in the raincoat stood under a lamp post. And this time he was smiling. When your world shrinks, you find out who's really in it. The coffee had gone cold, but Caroline's voice stayed warm and certain. "Keep your circle small," she said. "Right now, it's you, me and Lily. No one else." James nodded, though his mind was already pulling at the threads. That night, they walked the edge of the Battery, Charleston's waterfront sleeping under a thin mist. The harbor lights shimmered on the water. It should have been peaceful. It wasn't. Half a block back, the man in the raincoat. Same posture. Same deliberate steps. His gaze fixed on them like he had all the time in the world. Caroline's tone was flat. "He's not hiding. He's sending a message." James slowed, his hand brushing Lily's shoulder, steering her closer. "And the message?" "That he's not going away," Caroline said. "Not until they tell him to." The salt air felt heavier now. Every sound, the slap of waves, the creak of dock lines, seemed sharper. James's phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced down. A message from Bobby. "We should move Thursday's meeting up. Urgent. If you want the truth, you have to walk into the shadows." Lily's voice was firm, far beyond her years. We can't wait. They'll hide everything. 15 minutes later, the Range Rover rolled to a stop near the docks. The air reeked of salt, rust, and old rope. The abandoned seafood warehouse loomed ahead, siding weathered gray, windows clouded with years of sea spray. Lily moved with certainty, guiding them to a side door warped from years of storms. Inside, the air was cooler. Heavy. The tang of salt mixed with something oily and sharp. A desk sat in the center of the room. Papers scattered, contracts, shipping invoices, lists of account numbers James didn't recognize. Then, one page stopped him cold. At the top, his name. Below it, emergency clause, removal from operational duties. It wasn't just business maneuvering. It was a takeover. Caroline scanned the room. We need to move. Now. Footsteps echoed across the concrete. And then, a voice James knew as well as his own. Bobby's. Confirm with Evelyn. He won't see it coming. Sometimes, bait looks like a rescue. Morning light crept through Charleston's fog. The inn smelled faintly of coffee and wood polish, but Lily's room was empty. Her bed was neatly made. On the pillow, a folded note in small, uneven handwriting. They're taking me to the seafood warehouse. Be careful. James's stomach tightened. Caroline's voice crackled over the phone. It's a trap. She's not just leaving a message, she's leaving you a trail. James searched the room again. That's when he saw it. On the windowsill, tucked under a chipped seashell, a tiny pencil sketch. 3 shrimp boats, hull numbers drawn with precision. Caroline leaned over the drawing. This isn't just art. It's a map. These boats are tied up at the dock behind the warehouse. She's telling you where to find her. 15 minutes later, the Range Rover rolled through heavier fog near the marina. Wooden pilings groaned with the tide. The smell of salt and damp rope clung to the air. They reached the dock, 3 shrimp boats swaying side by side. From somewhere in the mist-shrouded warehouse beyond, a high, quick laugh. Lily's. If they choose the stage, choose your own script. Fog curled against the warehouse walls, swallowing sound. Caroline signaled for James to boost her up to a clouded side window. She peered inside, motionless for several seconds, then dropped back down. Lily's in there, she murmured. Sitting on a crate. Come. Talking to someone. Bobby's a few steps away. Evelyn's pacing, folder in hand. James's jaw tightened. What folder? Contracts, Caroline said. I'd bet my badge they're Thursday's papers. Her gaze sharpened. This isn't a snatch. It's theater. They want you to walk in and hear their version of the story. James's breath fogged in the cold air. Then we changed the ending. They moved along the wall, boots whispering over slick boards. The air smelled of salt and machine oil. Every creak of the dock felt like a gunshot in the silence. At the far corner, the glow from a cracked service door spilled a thin line of light onto the damp wood. James's pulse thundered. He glanced at Caroline, she gave a single nod. He stepped forward toward the door, heart pounding. The most dangerous weapon in a room is the truth no one expects. The service door creaked just enough to slip through. Inside, the air was damp, heavy with brine and machine oil. Bobby leaned against a workbench, posture loose, smile easy. She's safe with us, he said, like this was all some harmless misunderstanding. James ignored him. His eyes locked on Lily, small, steady, sitting on a crate. He crossed the room, took her hand. She's safe with me. Evelyn's heels clicked once against the concrete. The thin smile she wore didn't reach her eyes. In her hands, a folder. James recognized the paper stock instantly. Contracts. Thursday's contracts. Her fingers tightened around it. You've been making this harder than it needs to be, she said. We're offering you an easy way out. James didn't move. You think this is about making things easy? His voice was low, deliberate. He turned toward the door with Lily at his side, Caroline a step behind. Without raising his voice, he dropped it like a weight. Thursday isn't going to happen the way you think. If they let you walk away, it's because they think you're already trapped. No one tried to stop them. No shouts. No threats. Just the sound of their footsteps echoing against the damp dock. Fog closed around them like a curtain. Caroline's voice was low. They're confident. Thursday is still theirs. James kept Lily close, her small hand gripping his coat. Then we take that away from them. Lily's gaze stayed forward, but her voice was quiet. I heard them talking before you came. James glanced down. What did they say? Her answer was sharp enough to cut through the fog. It's not about business anymore. It's personal. The words lodged deep. Personal meant there was more at stake than contracts. It meant revenge. Caroline shot James a look. Then Thursday isn't just a meeting. It's a hit. They reached the pier. Wooden boards groaned under their weight. And then he was there. The man in the raincoat. No longer a statue in the mist. This time he moved. One deliberate step forward. The fog swallowed the sound but not the intent. The closer Thursday gets, the less it feels like a meeting. They stood at the edge of the pier, fog curling around them like a living thing. James's voice was steady. We make them wrong. Caroline gave a single nod, not a promise but an agreement. Minutes later Lily was back at the inn. The fire crackled softly in the parlor. Mrs. Thatcher drew the curtains tight, her hand lingering protectively on Lily's shoulder. Caroline stood in the doorway, scanning the street before she spoke. I'll start my end tonight. Watch the club. Watch Evelyn. I'll see who they meet before Thursday. James met her eyes. Be careful. Her reply was dry. You too. Outside the mist was thicker. The live oaks loomed like watchmen. And under one of them he was there. The man in the raincoat. Same posture. Same unhurried stillness. Except now he was closer. He didn't speak. Didn't move toward James. He was waiting. James could feel it. Thursday would decide more than contracts, more than control. It would decide who walked away breathing. The fog shifted. And as if on cue, the man in the raincoat turned his head toward the camera. Dark eyes. A faint, knowing smile. Black screen.